Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session of the Human Values Collective Mentorship Program. I'm super excited for today because we're talking all about healing. And can I share, shout out to Brahmana. Brahmana was with us year one. And Brahmana at one point was describing HVC as a healing space. And I went, what? I was like, wait. I didn't even, I thought, I didn't even think about that as like a healing space. But looking back on it, that's all we're doing here, right? And we're learning from each other in that. So, healing through radical forgiveness, we're going to jump right in, do our opening rituals, go into, I have multiple slides because these chapters were so generative. But I'm inviting you to bring your own takeaways and quotes from the book. And then towards the end, we're going to look at the radical forgiveness worksheet. Hopefully, you took a look at it between now and last time. And then I'm going to make sure I show you where that's linked on our website so that you can always find the radical forgiveness worksheet. And a couple tidbits at the end. Let's sing this one together. Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, love, our love. Watch our circle grow. Love is the only power. Love is the only way. Love, love, our love. Watch our circle grow. Hey, the acapella's good. Because then, then the hand signs come back to me. That's good. Yeah, these were all Angela Lorraine Burroughs. She had all the hand gestures for all of the songs, and all the kids would sing the songs and do the hand gestures together in Thailand. So some of those come back to me. Today, we honor the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, the Odawa nations, as well as the traditional homelands of the Kickapoo, Peoria, Kaskaskia, and Mia Mia, the original peoples of Chicago, Illinois. Till this day, Chicago is one of the largest urban indigenous communities in the US. We celebrate the natural beauty, culture, community, and connection with Mother Nature that our indigenous siblings have preserved over the centuries. Maypole. Let's get as comfortable as we possibly can and enjoy this nice time where we're dedicating to ourselves.
So now, if you want to close your eyes, fine. If you don't, leave them open. It's not going to bother me or anybody else. Get as comfortable as you can. And we're going to start with a hand position, or what the Indians call a mudra, which is a receptive posture. It means we're willing to receive. And this gives a very strong message to the subconscious that yes, we do want to receive from the high sea because it's the only reliable source of any information. Other people are not reliable. They might be incorrect. They might not have our best interests at heart. But to receive from the high sea is completely safe. So first of all, we will imagine this maple in the middle of the room with all of the different colored ribbons. And you will imagine that you're going to go up to it and you're going to pick one ribbon. And then in your imagination, go back to your chair and sit with the ribbon twirled around one of your fingers so that you can have your hands like little bowls ready to receive from the high sea within each of you. So I'll give you a moment to take your ribbon and then relax in your chair as much as you possibly can with the ribbon in your hand ready to receive. And now we're going to ask that relaxation or relaxing energy will flow from the high sea within each of you into you to relax you as much as you need to be relaxed right now. The high sea will know. And we're going to use our breath to bring into us this relaxing energy. So breathe it in deeply but gently, and then let go with a little sigh. Any tension anywhere within you, in your body, in your emotions, in your life, whatever is making you tense, just feel as if you're letting go of it with your outgoing breath. And then ask for this relaxing energy to flow into you again, down your ribbon from the high sea. Breathe it in, and then let go of any tension that you may be feeling anywhere within you. And now one more breath, breathing in the relaxing energy, and really let go. Let your arms go loose, let your shoulders relax, let your back relax, your knees, just let go. And now we're going to ask that this relaxing energy continue to flow all the time we're working today to keep you at the right level of relaxation to benefit the most from this day's workshop. And so next we're going to ask for healing energy to flow down your ribbon to heal you of anything you're ready to have healed. A lot of us aren't quite ready to be healed, but the high sea knows and will send healing energy as you breathe in again, and you will direct it mentally to any part of your body or to memories or thoughts or feelings, wherever you know healing is needed. And as you breathe out, let go of any condition that you feel is an obstacle or is negative. Let go completely and take 2 or 3 breaths, breathing in gently this healing energy. Direct it wherever you know it's needed, and then let go of the condition that's causing distress or unease. And we'll ask that this continue the whole time we're working today, so that whatever you're ready to have healed will be healed from the high sea as you open up to receive the healing. And now the next thing we're going to ask for is cleansing energy. We all have negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative memories, negative experiences, negative situations. And so we're going to ask for cleansing energy to be sent down our ribbon so that we can breathe it in and breathe out anything negative or any obstacle or anything that could get in the way of our progress in our lives. Just use your breath. This is a natural mechanism that we all have available to us. So breathe in the cleansing energy and breathe out anything negative at all that comes to your mind. Let go of it and let yourself be filled with this wonderfully cleansing energy. And we'll ask that that continue the whole time we're working today. And now we're going to ask for strengthening or a re-energizing energy to flow down our ribbons. So many of us are tired, especially when we are out in the world where there is so much stress, so much hurry, so much pressure. And here is our opportunity to be refilled from this inner source with the energy which can overcome our lack of energy. So breathe in this wonderful energy. Imagine it moving around inside of you, and let go of any weakness that you know about, any feeling of tiredness or stress. Just let go. This is a fount. As long as you are concentrating and asking for it, it will continue to flow into you. And we'll ask that that continue the whole day that we're working. And now for the most important of all. This time we're going to ask for the love that we can only receive in a fulfilling amount and a fulfilling quality from the high sea. Breathe it in deeply. It's the love we've been looking for all our lives. It's what makes us insecure. It's what makes us competitive. It's what makes us indulge in addictions, all kinds of things. Because we don't feel fulfilled. We don't feel loved. Now, the love of other people is limited, but this love from the high sea is non-judgmental, non-critical, completely accepting of you the way you are right now. So breathe it in and let go as you breathe out of any feeling of being unlovable, any guilt, anything that could get in the way of receiving this love, any feeling of not being worthy. So many people don't feel worthy, but that's because we identify with the physical shell or the physical house in which we live, and we forget that the spark of divinity is our real self. So breathe in this love. Let it flow to all parts of you. Just drink it in. As long as you ask for it, and as long as you're willing to breathe it in, it will continue to flow indefinitely, so that you need never feel unloved or unworthy again. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can always tap into it. So just luxuriate in this wonderful feeling of being completely accepted, completely loved, and let go of anything at all that could get in the way of your receiving it. This is the life force. This is the energy that we all need. And now just let go with one big sigh of anything that's in you that could get in the way of receiving from this inner source, your real being, your real self. And now we're going to bring into this room, in your imagination, anyone who comes to your mind when you ask your high sea to indicate who might benefit by being brought into this room in your thoughts. If they don't want to receive what is available, they won't, so we don't have to worry about their free will. But if they're really open, they will receive whatever they need, even though they're not here. So let's ask the high sea to indicate to you who you know who might really benefit from this wonderful energy that we call, for lack of a better word, love. And bring them all in. You may just see one person, there may be several. And don't forget to include people who are difficult for you, because difficult people desperately need this love. They wouldn't be as difficult if they were receiving it. And whether you can love them is not important. You can direct this universal love to them. So bring them all into the room, whoever comes into your head. And now we're going to put our palms together with fingers extended, like the Namaste, using the Indian term, or the prayer position. and direct whatever you're going to be receiving to each of these people. If they're open, they'll receive it. If not, it will find others who are open. And we will ask what these people need. And we'll ask the high C of each one of us, which is also the high C of all of them, to send through us whatever it is they need. And all we have to do is just direct it to them with our fingers extended. And so just let it flow. As you breathe in, it will flow into you. As you breathe out, you will send it to these people. And now let's relax again with palms in your laps, ready to receive yourselves once more. Many people say that they feel very inadequate to help in this world situation the way it is in so many parts of the world right now. Say, what can I do? I'm just one individual. But we can be willing to send this energy that we can receive in this simple way to different parts of the world where help is desperately needed. And it will help. If we could all do that, if individuals could do that, and those individuals were multiplied by thousands of people, then there would be an effect upon some of the areas of the world where there is so much stress, so much strife, so much hunger, so much sickness. So right now we're going to ask the High C to indicate to us where in the world it would like each one of you to send this energy. You don't have to look very far. There's so many areas right now where there are problems, including this country. So see what comes into your mind, what part of the world or what parts of the world. And then first of all, we have to receive the energy that's needed. And then as soon as you're ready, put your palms together with fingers extended and just send this energy that you're receiving to whatever part of the world was indicated to you, whatever part of the world came into your mind when you asked where to send it. And you can breathe out at the same time to hasten the sending. So breathe in this wonderful energy and then direct it wherever it's indicated. And now let go of it. Just let go completely and relax completely. You don't have to do anything more. You don't have to determine what they need or how to do it. It's this simple. In fact, it's so simple that a lot of people say it's too simple. We don't take it seriously enough. But if we were to do this every single day, it would have an effect. And we wouldn't feel as helpless. Okay, now one more little exercise with our maypole. Again, we're going to put our hands like little bowls. And we're going to ask for the love that we all need. Breathe in this wonderful energy that's coming from the High C. And if you want, just put your arms around yourself and just say, I love me. Because that's what we all need to do. If we can't love ourselves, we can't love anybody. And if the High C can love you, however dreadful you think you are, what right have you to say that you don't love yourself? So really say, I love me. And that will be the first step to becoming lovable and loving. And now let's relax again. And we're going to come back to consciousness. But first of all, we're going to say thank you for the High C, for all of the gifts that we've received this far. And we're also going to thank the High Sea for everything that we're going to receive for the rest of the day. And now let's come back fully conscious of our bodies and stretch, and you can stand if you want to, and come back completely back to the here and now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Please let me know how you're feeling as you come back to conscious awareness. I feel like I downloaded a massive update. I feel the energy, lots of energy. I feel things are happening in the background, and I feel we're going in the right direction. The value of the week through the lens of truth, our universal human value. Our sub-value is openness. Our thought of the week is open your heart to let your truth out and love in. Our objective is make stronger connections with others by sharing who you are and what you have been through. Live and share your truth, and remember that opening your heart will inspire others to live honestly and openly. I was speaking to my students this week, and I have them in groups of 3 playing ukulele or guitar. And I asked them, please say hello to your neighbor. Ask them how they're doing, or play this chord for your neighbor, get some feedback. And many of them, they are just not interested in speaking to other people or being spoken to. But I know, we all know that we all want friendship. We want love in our lives. But there are those moments where we close ourselves off because we're insecure. I close myself off when I don't think I have anything to offer, or I don't think the other person's going to be interested in what I have to say, or I don't know if the other person's going to like me. Maybe I'll say something and they won't like me anymore. So we close ourselves off. It's just better not to say anything or open myself up. It's exhausting to be open to talk. Even talking to people can be exhausting. So if we know where that comes from, we know that comes from a place of insecurity, then we can intentionally choose to practice openness and say, open your heart to let your truth out and love in. And we remember that as our value, as our thought of the week in those moments where we feel contraction, and we say, let's open back up. I want to invite anyone who would like to speak to the value of openness this week. Please write stack in the chat so we can get the conversation started. What can you speak to the value of openness or the thought of the week and objective? Anyone like to share today? This is our check-in time. You can also just say how you doing. Melody, please.
Thank you, Javier. I'm feeling this hitting me strongly right now. I'm very emotional, so bear with me. But earlier today, I was thinking about my brother a lot, just missing him and feeling some sadness coming through. And feeling just now as you were speaking, I was thinking about openness from a different lens of sometimes it's hard to to show up exactly as you are and feel safe. Um, and initially, I was planning to go to, so every Wednesday, Jesus People has a community gathering and there's a theme. So sometimes the leadership talks about vision and values, or sometimes we just have treats and we share. So this week, the theme was gratitude and sharing of treats. And I said, I really would like to go because I feel like I've been not very open. Like the introvert parts of me kind of goes to my room or like doesn't spend as much time with people. And so I kind of set that intention for myself to be present today. And I knew I would be missing, I knew I had to decide between mentorship or community gathering. So I gave it a lot of thought with love that I would go. But then right before the session today, I was feeling just like I didn't feel like I could show up honestly in what I was experiencing. Like I didn't feel like I wanted to share with people that I was sad, and I didn't feel like I wanted to show up sad. Um, and didn't have the energy to like be yay. And so there was some fear coming up for me of like, oh, will I be accepted with what I'm feeling right now in the community that I've chosen to live in? So I think I'm just struggling with that right now of knowing that the people that I live with are walking with me in my grief, but I don't know how to navigate that sometimes, like when to do it alone and when to do it with others. And I had a moment where I had to be honest with myself and say, oh, I actually feel safer in this community. Like I feel safer coming to mentorship and sharing where I am right now than I feel going to the community gathering. And that was something that I had to be honest with myself, because sometimes I think I get in my head about what community looks like, and I feel like I have to make this work because I've chosen to live here. And Teal is doing so well because he's very much engaged with a lot of visionary and leadership things. And so I have to be open. But I think there's also the honesty of what openness looks like, and being honest with ourselves of what we need at any given moment. Like sometimes being open might be not sharing with one person and sharing with another, or being open in a one-on-one interaction, like choosing to call a friend versus choosing to go to a group counseling. And I think honesty is hard because I had a moment where I was like, I think I'm going to go to mentorship. Instead of doing the right thing, I'm going to do what I need. So I just want to also add that I feel, yeah, this really is a healing space. And I feel held accountable to show up as I am, like instead of pretending. I actually feel that all of you here want to know truly what's happening with me, and that is in itself a healing thing, because it helped me be honest, like what do I need right now? And this space is what I needed. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you. I wanted to say that whatever you need is the right thing.
We're here for you, Melody. It's okay. It's hard. It's really hard. It's okay not to be okay some days. And it's good to share. Walk with us. We got you.
The more authentic, the better. I know something I've been being hit over the head with is as someone who's like a helper and like trying to be Mr. Cheerful all the time, that yeah, that could go south real fast. And that actually my healthy side is going to be more and more comfortable sharing the darkness, that we don't have to hide that shadow part, that sharing that part is great. It's what brings people closer. I think there was this story about these psychologists that went to Africa, and then they got kicked out of whatever village they were in because they were trying to heal people in a quiet room isolated by themselves, the Western model. But that in this tribe, they all healed together, outside, moving together, dancing together, crying together, laughing together, that everything was done together. So as much as you need Melody or anyone, because, you know, many of us are dealing with different things and grief, especially. How much should it be healing in community versus healing by yourself? As much as you want. All of it in community if you want. And yeah, just hoping you're feeling supported. Thanks for being. I hope I wasn't muted that entire time. No? Okay.
No, you weren't. You were good.
The spacebar mutes me on PC, not on Mac, so it's throwing me off. Dearest humans, shall we continue? So many things are coming together in the meditation and what Melody shared. It's just all, Andrea said earlier, it's a time for downloads right now. So let's just honor whatever it is we're receiving in here and elsewhere. Colin dives into chapter 13, talking about time, medicine, and forgiveness. And when I started reading, I immediately thought of Mentors Year 1 and so many of the workshops we did before that when we talked about the koshas, or the different layers of our being. So I wrote some paraphrase here. It says, we have multiple energetic layers or bodies, including our physical body, as well as more subtle bodies, which is the language that Colin uses. So you can see here, very similar to the koshas we've studied before. The emotional body, I recognize the part that allows us to process the feelings. You have the physical body. Maybe that's the etheric body. The mental body, dealing with thought. I understood the celestial body as the spirit part of ourselves. And then when I looked into etheric, subtle body, it called it the template, the etheric template. So just like the vessel, I kind of understand that as. So I can see this very similar to the koshas that we learn about in Hinduism. Everyone can have their own take on it, but essentially it's the 5 koshas, right? The intuitive, the physical, the intellectual, the spiritual, and the life force, right? Energetic life force. They are not fixed bands with clear boundaries the way we see them, especially in this drawing, right? That's kind of like how we can best physically represent it, but I like this clarification that they're not like bound in that way, but they are more so on top of each other and they vibrate at different frequencies. So rereading this recently, doing the meditation, I almost felt like I'm usually feeling my body here, right? The physical body. When I was doing the meditation just now, I felt like all the space around my body was included in my body. And it's because it's like the energetic body. And when we really look at it on an atomic level, even our physical body is still energies. It's still electrons and protons spinning around real fast. So it's just to think that we're more than just that physical body, that there's a lot more going on. And then how, if we don't call out the energy, the negative emotions, if we don't call out the grief, the fear, the anger, it gets stuck inside of those particles, in between the parts of the atoms, and it stays there and it congeals and it gets solid, and that is what leads to diseases in us. First it's kind of like a sickness in our energetic field, in our energetic bodies, in our subtle bodies, and then it actually becomes physical manifest with things like cancer. So we have an example here, Farah's flu release. So Farah was someone who had been practicing energetic healing, things like radical forgiveness. And they describe a process through which he healed through active imagination, which simply involves writing down thoughts as a stream of consciousness. So stream of consciousness, not thinking like, where is this going, or not editing, just like writing down every word as it comes into your head. And then came upon an unconscious and unresolved emotional issue. And that to me sounds like the radical forgiveness worksheet. It sounds like the Loving What Is, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet by Byron Katie that Andrea is going to teach about in Mentors next year. So it's just writing it down. You can't escape it. It's on the paper, right? So that it really is this opportunity. If you're just not thinking about it, watch what comes out from your subconscious, and you're like, oh, let's work on. Now that's something to work on. If there's some things in life bothering you over and over again, I think my colleague today, he was talking to his students and he said, do you ever, there's like this one person that bothers you, and they could be I don't like the way they drink water or something like that. There's just something about this person that bothers you. You can't explain why. Chances are, if we do a little bit of active imagination, a little writing, a worksheet, something's going to spill out that we didn't realize is still with us. Any comments, questions so far? Please just write stack in the chat, and then we'll pause that, and then someone can speak. Otherwise, I'll keep it flying through because I'm really enjoying myself and enjoying you all. The Seattle Forgiveness Study, the first thing that it showed in this study was this kind of slowness of traditional forgiveness, because there wasn't, they weren't including radical forgiveness in this study. It was just like about forgiveness in general as we know it. There was no guidance. Actually, Colin argues that if there had been a third group that had known about radical forgiveness, he would have guessed that they would have forgiven and healed even faster. So the study also showed that participants did not forgive as much as they just realized that they had let go and therefore forgiven grievances or grudges that they were holding. They just kind of, one day were like, oh, I guess I forgave that person, which is, I mean, that's consistent with when you really feel forgiveness. It's kind of like an energetic thing. It's not like a moral, oh, they made up for it, now I'm going to forgive them. That's, it's much more energetic than that. It's much more in our body than that. Participants had their energy shift in them after they had received forgiveness, and then that made it easier for them to forgive themselves and other people. So when someone forgave them, they were like, oh, they were kind of like that. They could feel that shift, and that inspired them because they wanted more of that. Let me get more of that. How do I keep doing this work of forgiveness? Again, this is not radical forgiveness. This is traditional forgiveness. And once they were forgiven in that way, once they felt that shift, they experienced serenity. They experienced a deep peace. And that was a component in them being able to, or being ready to forgive, that once they felt that peace from them, then they kept going from there. But that serenity came out of that experience of forgiveness, whether it was them being forgiveness or some kind of other experience of forgiveness. Ooh, Melody, good, because we might get into that a little bit very soon. All right, this is most likely the most challenging part of our reading. Colin doesn't pull any punches here. He continues talking about this idea of how a lot of our diseases are emotional baggage. It starts in our subtle body and then that manifests in our physical body. So, why people don't heal. This is actually a book by Carolyn Myss, which Colin quotes in this chapter, saying 60 to 70% of the average person's precious life force is managing negative experiences of their childhood, adolescence, or early adulthood, as well as holding on to losses, disappointments, and resentments of the past. Another 10 is spent on worrying about the future, and that leaves very little for the present moment, which is where the healing actually happens. If we can't put any energy on the current moment, if we can't pay attention to our body, if we can't look at our thoughts, investigate our thoughts, and see how that's making us feel and how this mind-body organism is flowing or not flowing, if we can't pay that attention to us, we're not going to be able to heal. A lot of the times it's like, what was the example? There was an example, I think this was from Atomic Habits, where this woman, she was a nurse, and she goes over to her father-in-law's house, and she just takes a look at him, and she's like, I don't like the way you look. And he's like, haha, yeah, I don't like the way you look either. And she's like, no, for real, like, you need to go to the hospital right now. And then they started doing emergency surgery on him because he was having a heart attack. She was able to just see that something was wrong in him. That's how much we're blinded from even feeling our own bodies. If we really had that awareness, instead of being in the past and the future, if we had that awareness on the current moment, which a big way to do that is just paying attention to how your body feels. Again, even the darkness, let's feel that too. That's part of the show. We honor that too. We're paying loving attention to all of that. That's how we're going to ultimately bring about that healing. Because, we might even feel a certain feeling and then make a story about that. So it's not so much the feeling, it's the story or the thoughts or ideas you have about your feeling. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I can't show my friends how I'm feeling right now, etc. The feeling is fine. That's actually going to lead us to the healing. Any questions or comments there?
I would like to add that, I mean, wow, this is amazing. And I just wanna acknowledge like feelings or thoughts that might come up. I know like feelings and thoughts came up for me, like, what the hell? Like, why are you going to tell me that all these people having cancer or dealing with certain ailments, like, it's just because they haven't processed their past stuff and all that? Like, it feels like, what the hell? Like, it can't only be that, right? Yeah, so I kind of just want to bring to the front, like, acknowledging the resistance that comes up in us, or the thoughts that might be like, wait, like, but how does that happen, or why, or like, no, that's not my experience, or things like that. And just like Javier has mentioned, like, we don't have to believe this. We could just hold the possibility, and really we can just try it for ourselves. Like, we could just like make the experiment with our lives and see how it would be if, whatever the techniques, like doing the worksheet or the stream of consciousness writing or whatever it is, to give yourself that space and see how much stagnant energy can be released through those things. And I've seen a lot of people heal in that way, and I've seen it myself too. Like, I was like diagnosed with pre-diabetes. When was that? Beginning of this year or last year? I don't remember. Last year. And yes, I've been watching like what I eat and all of that, but also like I did a lot of work of like my own childhood trauma and like things like that and my own thoughts. And like then I went to the doctor and like I there's like a range. And so whatever, I was like at the border of like danger zone and they said that it went like down and I was like, okay. And I was like, what? And so mine had to do a lot about like not feeling um loved or like yes, not feeling loved or like not feeling appreciated in my childhood, and then I was like bringing that to the present moment. um so yeah, it just, I don't know if anyone feels like this, but I just felt it because I know I've experienced it myself. Like, no way, like have this, like, um, but yeah.
Thank you, Andrea, for sharing. And thank you for what you wrote, Victoria. I'm glad it's clicking.
Yeah, I think I'll jump in real quick. I thought that these chapters were like my favorite. I'm like, okay, this makes sense to me. Like this absolutely, like I want to 100% agree. There's still maybe some like, but other chapters I'm like, no, I'm not taking this chapter. I'm going to leave it here for now. And eventually I will come to this. But this one, I was like, no, yeah, that makes sense. And I think it makes sense because there were a lot of times where even before I read this book, I was like, I would see like a really like angry person or like a person who was just like mean all the time or someone who's just always yelling at their kids or something like that. And I would think to myself, I'm like, wow, I wonder how they like feel on the inside. Like if they're that angry all the time, do they physically feel weird? Like are like, and you think of kind of like almost like a cartoon version where when you see like a bad guy or a villain and they're all hunched over and they're all like, they have some sort of like vibe about them that, oh yeah, they're the angry person who's like, out to get everybody. And they physically look like that too. So before I even knew about all of the subtle bodies, I think subconsciously I kind of understood it and knew without knowing that I knew about it. If they know that we know. But anyway, yeah, this chapter is very interesting. And it made me think about too my mom, because she has MS and she had MS. It started when I was in high school. But this would not be something that I would kind of approach her with and be like, well, guess what, mom, you have MS because of this and this and this. But there's some things that make sense. And I almost want her to read this book, but I don't want to be the one to tell her like, because she has a really shitty form of MS. So who am I to say like, oh, well, it's because of that. You know what I mean? Like that was the part that I was like, ooh, I don't know. Some people might not be ready to receive that information. Yeah. Thanks, coach. Yeah. So it was interesting about that. When that one came up, I was like, oh, okay. Wonder if I can plant a sort of seed with my mom about this topic, but might take a couple of years for that.
In the short term, Victoria, when you talk to your mom, you can speak to her directly to her high C, and you can visualize her as like the most healed, happy, healthy version of her. And as we're going to dive into this next chapter, that feeling that you feel when you think of healthy, super strong, healthy, happy Karen, that good feeling is a very powerful thing. It's like a spell that you're casting in that moment. And if you could speak to her from that perspective, oh boy. Oh, you might not even need the book. You know what I'm saying? You have so much power. We're all so powerful, we don't even know. I mean, now, let's close out chapter 13 here. Fear only occurs when you bring the past into the future. When we are truly in the moment, we're absolutely fearless because we have no awareness of past or future. And it's so subtle how the past and the future sneak in. They sneak in pretending to be other things, but they're the past and the future. Let us remember that in the moment so we can just live in the moment. We can either choose to let go of the victim archetype and bring our energy into the present through radical forgiveness, or wait for a significant trauma to force us into the now. In other words, we can transform our consciousness as a matter of will, or we can wait for a disaster or a life-threatening illness to make us do it. And even those experiences when they happen are a portal to change the way we see. Jumping into chapter 4, as above, so below. A couple of paraphrases here. We can learn to see the violent political and environmental movements on Earth as healing crisis. Again, we're shifting the way we're seeing. In the previous chapter, more about ourselves and other people. In this one, more about the world and like the big picture things, right? Creating a shift in consciousness can help heal the world from political and environmental disaster. So you can think, oh, Maypole meditation, it's nice. Oh, we're sending love to others. Or you can believe in your own power, that what you send energy and intention to out into the world is actually creating the world. And through what a lot of people call prayer, even though there's many different versions. Some people call it praying, other people call it meditation, mindfulness, right? It's about your intention, and it's about the feeling of trust that it is possible. The purest form of prayer we can engage in is the peace we feel in the total surrender of what is, and that spirit is working it out and has it in control. If I make it about me and I think I have to save the world and fix all the world's problems, then that's a very low vibration. But if I say, I'm going to do my part, I'm going to do my dharma, and I know spirit's got the rest handled, then you're tuning into the flow of the universe, into the power of the universe, the power of peace and love. When we surrender, then we can pray, and then it becomes very powerful. Here's a direct quote. It says, don't pray for peace, pray to feel peace. Ooh, girl. That is the most creative prayer you can make. What have we been saying for the last year and a half? We can think about it all day long, but unless we feel it in our body, we're not going to really experience. And if we don't experience, then, we can't transform. So how do I feel it in my body? When we can feel peace in our hearts, we will know love, and our world will reflect it. When in Thailand, we went to see a monk at a monastery. He must have been like a grandmaster or something. And I was just staring at him. I was like very angry. A certain politician had just become president. And I asked him, how do I bring peace to a country so divided? And he looked at me and he said, you must first bring peace to your heart before bringing peace to the streets. Last couple quotes here in chapter 14. Peace and love is the antidote to fear-based consciousness. Raising our vibration enough to change the predictions of disaster must include living our lives based on love and gentle acceptance of ourselves and others, and forgiving ourselves for abusing the planet. It's this thought I have recently. My coach helped me with this. When you see something that you don't like in the world, you say, I'm part of that. Because we create separation when we look at someone doing something bad, like abusing the planet, and then we're like, oh, they're so bad. But then we're creating separation. And one way to create that unity again is, well, I have harmful behaviors too. I'm part of that. And it's not a judgmental thing. It's just a we're all one thing. And that brought me so much peace. I hope that serves you. So this phrase, I'm part of that. So if we can accept that, then we forgive ourselves for that. Oh, then we can move on and change and do something better. This work must include joining in prayer for peace with as many people as possible from around the world involved. I love that piece. Those are my send hopes and prayers people, right? Natural disaster hopes and prayers, right? We don't like that. But this, I think, is an accountability point with as many people as possible from around the world, because it's inclusive, everyone together praying for peace, not just a certain group of people for a certain group of people. And this work must include embracing radical forgiveness as nothing less than a permanent way of life. Now, you can say radical forgiveness, you can put in human values in there, prayer, whatever, as long as it is a practice of a way of living that challenges you to see the perfection in the story, to see the spirit world behind the physical world, to see the illusion of separation so that we can see the truth of oneness. We're all one. We are all one. We're all the same. Thank you so much for a beautiful session together, everybody. I love, love, love preparing this for you. I love doing this work with you. And it's just the beginning. And Colin Tipping just keeps affirming that the work we're doing here is having a huge, huge impact on the world. And we're just getting started. This is what the Radical Forgiveness worksheet looks like. I'm including a link here to our website, because you click on our website, you scroll down on this beautiful website. Thank you, Miran, and everyone who worked on it. You're going to go to our link tree and scroll down on the link tree to where you see Radical Forgiveness worksheet. Clickety clackety. The main part of the forgiveness worksheet is choosing someone, what does it say? The situation around which I have an upset is or was, and then you tell the story from your victim standpoint only. Old paradigm. Don't try to be wise in section 1, and then you go from there. All right, that's the first 3. It's pretty comprehensive, but you're gonna get some good wisdom out of there. And then this last part is Tipping Method worksheet for seeing the divinity in any human being. Bringing it back to the top, people. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. The jewel is in the flower, right? The divinity is in every human being. And if we can train ourselves to see that, oh, we'll be such a powerful influence in the world, y'all. Woo! I get excited about it. I get excited about changing the world. And maybe it's not about changing the world, but just changing people's worlds. We just help one person at a time to feel peace. Oh, what a beautiful journey and mission and vision, yes? Housekeeping. Love yourself, love the world. Read chapters 15 and 16 of Radical Forgiveness. This is for November 23rd. So you got some time. Practice Maypole, review the slides and videos on Mighty Networks, and complete a Radical Forgiveness worksheet. And when you're done, send it to Javier@humanvaluescollective.org. This is the direct link to the worksheet. You can print it, fill it out, scan it. You can use dochub.com to write directly on the PDF. Thank you, Victoria. Or if you want to write it out, you can also write it out on a separate piece of paper, scan and send that. Whatever works best for you. We are taking a little bit of a break because it's like Halloween week in 2 weeks. So we're going to actually jump to the next week after that, which is going to be November 9th, not October 9th. So we'll see everyone again on November 9th. I didn't put it in here, but please sign up for your insight session with Andrea. Andrea, if you can grab that link for us right now, that would be great. This is a $57 value, this one-on-one coaching session with Andrea. You're getting it for free 3 times throughout your year with mentorship program. Please grab this link right now and just sign up for your appointment right now. You're going to get some really, really amazing support from Andrea in achieving whatever you're trying to achieve right now. Let's sing together, shall we? If we can work together in peace and harmony, if we can work together, the I and you are we. If we can work together in peace and harmony. Yes.
Yes.
If we can work together, how happy we will be. Have a great rest of your evening, y'all. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love, love, love.